We were driving the whole day yesterday, and we arrived at Washington to meet some friends who we rented an RV with, and then we left for the road right away in the evening last night, and we drove for about 4 hours, and we arrived at an RV park on border between Washington and Oregon by this beautiful lake. But we're not going to stay here much. We have to check out by 12, and then we're going to head out for an Oregon coast road trip. Oregon coast is a stretch of 363 miles from the Columbia River, where we stayed at the beginning of our trip, and down to the California state border. Our route was actually driving all the way down to the border with California, passing through Crater Lake, and then going up along the coast. Oregon coast is coasting 52 beaches, and besides being amazingly scenic, they are all free to the public. And yet, with all their marvel, they are mostly empty of visitors except for the most popular one, Cannon Beach, which we will get to later. Oregon has undoubtedly the most impressive coastline, where nature seems untouched or even undiscovered, and beaches that you see no beginning or end to. Personally, I found Ariya's beach to be one of the most impressive ones, and evoking a lot of emotions. The rocks on the beach were gigantic and quite intimidating as you could get close and touch them. The whole scenery seemed unreal. It was as if walking into a dream, a black and white dream where I was the only one in color. I was tiny and the earth was closing in on me. It was very gloomy and gray, with seagulls flying above, and rock walls covered with seashells. It was simply breathtaking. Another marvelous beach was the Stonefield Beach, the place where the river meets the ocean. The tide comes in and out so quickly that it can carry you away without warning, so this is definitely not the place to go swimming. But it is the place to search for agate, where we met a local couple doing just that. Apparently agate is quite abundant, or at least used to be, at the coast, and some people come to the beach specifically to source the precious stone, and then make jewelry out of it or sell it. The weather at the coast is almost always gloomy and it rains a lot, due to being directly under the track of the jet stream, which is a band of very strong winds that are formed when warm air masses meet cold air masses in the upper layer of the atmosphere. This weather contributes to a very cozy ambience, especially when you drive through the breathtaking nature in your warm RV. Another must-hike beach was Arcadia Beach, which is located a little bit south of Cannon Beach, and where you can start seeing the famous Haystack Rock from. It's a very romantic beach, being so massive and entirely empty, except for one fisherman. It is great for romantic strolls or an intimate bonfire setting, or if you come with family, just drawing on the wet sand. At Cannon Beach. Being so famous, we chose to stay here for a couple of days. It was, after all, named one of 100 most beautiful places in America by National Geographic. And it definitely is impressive thanks to its famous Haystack Rock and puffin population inhabiting it. The first day we arrived, it was raining quite heavily, so we stopped at the Wayfarer restaurant, which is located exactly across from the Cannon Beach landmark, the Haystack Rock. After a cozy dinner, we decided to brave up and walk in the rain to the rock, and found that there were quite a bit of people sitting there on the beach by lit bonfires. But we were not this extreme, so we decided to return to the RV for the night. The next day it was still raining on and off, so we sat at the Sleepy Monk coffee shop for a little bit until deciding that it is what it is and we must explore town. We headed downtown, but decided to take the residential streets to see how locals live. There's approximately 1,500 people living in Cannon Beach. According to archaeologists, Cannon Beach was first inhabited by the Native American Tillamook people in the 15th century, and then discovered by Lewis and Clark expedition in 1806. Throughout its history, Cannon Beach held several names, including Coley, the Elk Creek, Ecola, and eventually in 1922, it officially became Cannon Beach, which was already being used as a nickname for the place because of cannons that were washed ashore from a shipwreck in 1846 and then lost to natural elements, and then rediscovered again in 1898. Visiting Cannon Beach, you simply cannot avoid its seafood scene. We stopped at Cola, a seafood restaurant and market, to get the famous clam chowder soup. I am not big on clams, but being here, I had to try it. Also, pardon my fashion, I wore a linen dress that day trying to be stylish, but it was cold and raining the entire day, so we had to get raincoats and I had to reinvent my style. Then, while it was still raining, we created something warm and found it at the chocolate cafe, where we got hot chocolate and chocolate candies. It was exactly what we needed. Towards the evening, the rain subsided a bit, so we walked to the beach to catch the sunset. Mesmerizing is not a well enough description word for the atmosphere that was created by the colorful rays of the sun reflecting against the wet sand of this endless beach.